The Department of Defense has now restored web pages highlighting baseball legend Jackie Robinson's military service. In a statement, the Pentagon's press secretary said the page was mistakenly removed, but, quote, they're pleased by the rapid compliance across the department with the directive removing DEI content from all platforms. In the rare cases that content is removed, either deliberately or by mistake, that is out of the clearly outlined scope of the directive. We instruct the components and they correct the content accordingly. That is a lot of words, saying just a little. It wasn't just Jackie Robinson's page, though. Pages highlighting the Tuskegee Airmen, the Navajo Code Talkers, the Japanese-American 442nd Combat Regiment have also been restored after a pretty explosive public outcry, along with a page about Army Major General Charles C. Rogers, the highest-ranking black service member to receive the Medal of Honor, as well as images and references to Enola Gay, the aircraft that dropped the atomic bomb on Japan during World War II. One of tens of thousands of items caught in a search for keywords the White House considers DEI, according to the AP. Joining us now, founder and CEO of Independent Veterans of America and host of the Independent Americans podcast, Paul Rieckhoff. I will note, Colin Powell's page is still down.
Yeah. Well, it's dangerous, and it appears to be deliberate. And I think you have to put this in the context of the larger narrative, where you've got Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes. You've got this push where you fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, who was an African-American leader, historic leader, the constant dialogue about how they don't care about diversity. It's like they're trying to recruit for the Army of the Confederacy rather than the military that we need for 2025. So I think the long-term impacts of this are really bad for our military and for our democracy, because people of color, young people are watching this, and they don't want to join a military that erases Jackie Robinson. I think really important, too, Katie, this is a story that's crossing over. This is on sports media. This is in mainstream media. You got Stephen A. Smith and other people now commenting about it, and it really ties up this administration, but also drives a wedge in our country in a way that has our enemies celebrating and is bad for everyone.
I just don't understand help me understand why these pages would be taken down in the first place. Is it just some AI program code that went through and decided that if you are black, then you're automatically DEI and you're bad and we have to erase you from our websites and our history? Is that all it is?
That's the question that Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth has to answer. Now, he's only done one, I think, press availability since he's gotten in the job, so I don't think we're going to get a straight answer, but that's what they have to answer to. Was this an executive decision by a leader, or is this a computer AI that just scrubbed everything? But either way, who's held accountable? At first, they actually defended it. They said they were removing it because it was a part of a DEI thing and because they didn't want any association with race. But Jackie Robinson's entire legend is built on breaking the color line. So it's not consistent. It's sloppy. It's damaging. And it's also what happens when you have the Doge flamethrower just rip across an entire federal agency.
You also take race out of it. I mean, these are still incredible accomplishments by Americans who helped us win wars, who put their lives on the line. Navajo Code Talkers, they helped us win World War II. I mean, it's a huge. Was it World War I?
World War II.
World War II. Okay. Take the race out of it. I mean, like, they cracked the code that helped us win World War II. You would want to put that on a website regardless, because it is a moment in history that we should all be proud of.
That is true, but you also can't take race out of it, right?
No,
because Jackie Robinson broke the color line. He also was in a segregated unit when he was an Army lieutenant and refused to sit in the back of the bus. So, you know, his courage was important in that he pushed for integration in what until recently was the most diverse military on the planet.
Why does a history of diversity and a history of people breaking racial barriers, overcoming challenges, overcoming obstacles, why is celebrating that a bad thing?
Because of this leadership. It's not in normal world, but in this upside-down world where they're pushing a cultural transformation across the entire federal government led by the Pentagon. I think that's a really important point here. Everything that they're doing at the Pentagon, from book banning to the purge to removing lawyers, is all a model for what they want to do in the rest of the government. They're just doing it at the Department of Defense first. Now they're moving to the Department of Veterans Affairs, education. It's all going to look like the Pentagon if they continue on this path for the next couple of months.
The Pentagon has been ordered to restore service members who are transgender, to allow them back, even though Pete Hegseth said they are not fit for service within the military.
Yeah, well, now it looks like it's going to go to the Supreme Court. And I think it's really important that this is not a trans ban. It's a trans purge. It's unethical. I think it's immoral. I think it's un-American. But it's also really bad for our national security because if it's implemented, what it actually does is remove, for example, a trans fighter pilot out of combat operations in Syria right now, right, which disrupts that individual. It disrupts the unit, undermines our national security. I get into it in my new podcast this week with Lindsay Church, who is a very, very powerful voice on this issue. But again, this is where they're starting. They're starting with trans people in the military, and it's a model for how they can come after other people across the federal government that aren't in line with their ideology.
Well, explain that. Tease that out.
I mean, trans people are easy to target, right? They're making them kind of a boogeyman, a boogie person for this entire cultural agenda that they want to push, where they're removing DEI. And trans people are kind of easy because of their popularity or lack of popularity with certain communities in this country. So if you come after trans people and you can remove them from equality, from being able to serve, then it becomes easier to come after women. It becomes easier to come after every other person in the federal government. So this is a warning for everyone about how it's not just about trans people. This is about all Americans, and everybody should be tracking on it.
Paul Rieckhoff, good to have you.
You too, Katie. Thank you.